Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today I wanted to put up another video, kind of podcast style, similar to the one that I did with Zame and Drac about a month ago where we discussed staying alive in the verse. This one's really more about ship buying and different approaches some people should take. And we're going to cover topics such as, if the game is worth jumping into right now, buying standalone versus ships and packages, and really just being able to adapt to changes in the game. So go ahead and check the description for timestamps if there's only certain areas of this that are really going to be interesting to you. And also don't forget to check out Zame's channel, whose link will be in the description and the comments below. He did most of the work here, so he deserves the recognition, and as mentioned before, he is getting into videos more and more, so he's definitely worth checking out. If you want to share in the comments where you kind of land as far as what type of backer type you are or how you've reached that decision, please feel free to do so. It may help others in making the decision on their own. So I will say that we recorded this before Invictus, so some of the information about free flight might be a little bit outdated, but we're never that far away from another free fly event, so keep an eye out for events like that coming in the near future. So aside from that, let's jump on into it.
Should you buy Star Citizen? Let's start with STLYoungblood.
Yeah, so I would say that, I'm probably a little bit biased in this perspective, or at least people will probably look at it that way, being a content creator for the game. That doesn't mean that I am a, paid employee of CIG by any means. I think from my perspective, it's a game that I get on and play basically every night, 2 to 3 hours a night, and I have a lot of fun with it. Now, I would say, just because it's a game you can get in and play, it's still important to look at that, alpha title, right? It is still in development, and a lot of the gameplay loops that we have available to us are very much, tier 0, tier 1. You've got some that are a little bit further along, bounty hunting's coming along a little bit more, mining's a little bit more developed than some of the others as well. But there's still a lot that's on the horizon. And in all actuality, we've been in alpha for a long time, and we still have a lot more alpha to come. So I think one of the most important things to say is should you buy into Star Citizen? I think if you're the type that wants to kind of experience the development cycle to some degree, absolutely. If you're someone who wants kind of an unparalleled space game and from the flight model and the visuals and all of that, nothing else really touches it. So I think for me, when you start talking about being able to get in, you don't have to spend, thousands of dollars to play Star Citizen. You have to have a powerful enough computer to do it. But you can really get in for, 40, 50 bucks and have a decent ship. I think for 60 bucks, 65 bucks, you can get an Avenger Titan game package. And that's pretty much the same price as a AAA game. So if you're talking about just investing and what you get out of it, to me, it's worthwhile.
Well, should we buy Star Citizen?
The shorter answer is yes. Bearing in mind what STL has said about it being an alpha game, and alpha games are buggy and lack polish. Not all the features that we would like to see are in the game yet, or if they are in the game, they're in a very early iteration. But yes, I would definitely buy into Star Citizen at this point. The platform is mostly complete, and there's a lot of space to move around. It's glorious. If you have a high-end computer and you have 40, 50, 60 bucks you want to drop into Star Citizen, that's great. Go for it. And of course, it's important to have the patience to play an alpha.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about space, you're primarily talking about like actual literal space, right? Like we're in a very large, solar system, and there's going to be hundreds of them eventually. Now, I think that promise of hundreds of solar systems at release probably going to fall short, right? But even if you think about what you can just play in with the one star system we have right now, you've got 4 planets, probably 12-ish moons out there. You've got space stations, you've got, outposts, you've got major cities. Like there's a lot of diversity in what you can see from a visual perspective. So, I think from that lens, like if you're kind of just a sightseer, if you've kind of been waiting for a space game to be able to go and see things, it's very well crafted. Star Citizen's this interesting combination of, procedural generation and artist touch. It's kind of got this planet tech that is kicking out things within the regulations that are kind of set, and then things are fine-tuned. So while that means you have a slower roll and you don't have infinite systems like you start having with like No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous, that also means that the player base will be a little bit more populated with where you're at. We're kind of on the precipice of, and depending on when this video is actually released, we're about 2 weeks from the Invictus event. And for those that have never been in the game or know what that is, it's one of the big annual events. That means that the UEE is showing off, all of the ships in the inventory. So that basically means that you can get in and take ships that you don't normally fly or own and have an experience with them. That comes along with a free fly, which means you can go on to Robert Space Industries, you can sign up for an account, and even without purchasing anything, you can get in and play. So knowing that we're about 2 weeks from that, saying if you're on the fence right now, don't buy it right now. Wait 2 weeks, get in and experience a little bit, see if the bug bites you. If it does, decide if there's an investment you want to make there, because I think you'll kind of see where the game's at and get a feel for whether it's something you're ready to dive into or not, because you will experience the bugs, but you'll also experience a lot of what the game has to offer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This is an alpha game. This is an unfinished, buggy. It has a lot of bugs, but sometimes it works. Sometimes it works really well. When the Bengal was first shown, or when the Javelin was first shown, people get emotional. When we have any kind of convention or CitizenCon, people get emotional when we see those or the videos. It is a buggy mess, but you can experience it if you join now, or if you just wait for a free fly, check it out, see if the bugs happen, like STL just said.
So I would kind of add to what you and STL have mentioned about that to say that you are definitely, if you haven't bought into the game yet, the free fly event is an excellent time to get in and take a look around. Also, they may have more packages, starter packages available, and definitely a lot more ships available to purchase and play with. So your starting out experience will be that much more broad.
Even going to that, like the experience that you have, and not to cut you off, but I think knowing your options for who you can play with. We see it all the time when we're playing that, someone's like, hey, I need a crewmate, or I need somebody to jump in, I need somebody to help me, or I'm just trying to figure out how to play this game. There's two things there that I think people aren't taking advantage of enough. I think people think they can get in and just lone wolf, and for the most part you can kind of get by, but you lack a lot of experience and knowledge by doing that. So one of those is going to be, take a look at joining an organization. We're all in PXP. I'm not even promoting PXP, but go find an active org and find a group of people that can show you the ropes and get you off to the right start. Because if you know the workarounds, there's a lot of tribal knowledge about this game. There's things that you have to do that are not documented. There's things that you can do that will cause problems. And if you can play with people that know that and can share that with you, you will have a better experience. So organizations are important. Look for what that organization's goals are and what their kind of attitude is, and you can generally find a pretty good match. The other one is, if you go onto the website, there's actually a guide system. There are people that are signed up as registered guides, and you can get paired up with someone who will show you the ropes. There is a huge learning curve to this game, and while you can figure it out on your own, you're off to a much better start if you have somebody knowledgeable, either with a guide system or in an organization to get you started.
Or as always, watch streams or YouTube videos.
Yeah, those are good too.
I mean, that's how I learned, watching streams and videos, but I've been a backer for over 4 years now. So, for someone just jumping in, the YouTube channels, Twitch streamers, and so on that play Star Citizen are an excellent starting point. But if you really want to experience the game as Cloud Imperium Games and Chris Roberts intended, you really do need to be part of an alliance or organization.
Yeah, and to put it into perspective, I mean, the Kickstarter went live in February or in 2012. I don't remember what month. So we're coming up on 10 years, a decade of this thing being a thing. Now, I joined in 2014, just as the hangar module came live. So all you could do is walk into a hangar and look at your ship. So from my perspective, I'm at 7 years of following this game. So I think when you look at the amount of people that have been around this game and the complexities and what the long-term goals are, if you find people that are a little bit more tenured, they can kind of help shape that journey and kind of help shape where things are going to go, where you may not have that experience or color to really understand the context.
As STL said, there's a huge pool of institutional knowledge in any of the guilds or alliances or organizations that are part of that are into Star Citizen. And I will tell you from personal experience that mining is not. While the interface itself is very intuitive, going out with a prospector and mining is not as easy as it sounds. Having someone there to kind of walk you through the process, take you aboard their ship, and show you how it's done is worth its weight in gold.
And also just knowing that, learning what minerals are worth mining, right? And ores, you say it's worth its weight in gold. Well, gold ain't worth crap in Star Citizen. So, there's again, that's just another example of the knowledge out there that you can gain either on your own or faster by playing with somebody.
Buying strategies, should we just buy the starter package and earn the ships in games, or just buying the ships with real money?
Well, I will say that we have 3 very different perspectives here, or at least different, scenarios between us, right? Like we have the Zame experience, which is, spend the minimum amount of money in real life and then earn in game by playing and get the ships that he wants. You've kind of got Drool on the other end of the spectrum that is committed significantly more financially to the game and would officially be considered a golden goose or a whale in CIG's eyes. And then you've kind of got me in the middle, who has spent a significant amount of money on this game, but not a ton. And I've earned some free stuff through the referral program, through the YouTube channel, and people using my code. So I think while I think we all might have different perspectives, I think it's really coming down to what you value and how that translates to how you spend your money versus your time. I'll give my personal example here. I have a family. I've got a relatively demanding job. That means that I'm not that college kid or single guy that can spend whatever amount of time I want playing the game. So that means to some degree, I'm a little bit limited in how I can earn things that I want in the game. So I have the alternate option. If there's something I really want to purchase, I can purchase it because of the job that's taking time away from gaming. And then when I'm playing, I have it available to me. Somebody that's not in that type of job or not type of role or whatever the situation, they have more time, it may be more appealing just to say, yeah, I'd rather just play the game and earn everything that I get, and that's great. So I think from that perspective, you kind of have to say, what's most valuable to you? Are you going to feel like you're not earning things if you buy them with real money? I would always say if you feel like you're going to be putting an impact on your family or your wallet or your ability to pay your bills, it's still a video game, man. Like, get in. You can do well with cheap ships right now. It's fine. And you can earn stuff in the game. You can borrow ships. You can rent ships. Like, there's other ways that you can do things without spending a lot of money. But it's a personal decision. You just need to understand the implications of how you're making your decisions.
So one good pro of my method is I don't need to spend a lot of dollars buying ships, but I start off with one ship and then work my way up to other ships, which will allow me to buy more ships in game. But I do have to spend a lot of time on it. Even though it's not supporting CIG with money, you can still support CIG by playing the game, finding out bugs, posting bugs in issue council, or just promoting the game by yourself. You don't need to spend money to promote to support the game. Drool, on the other hand, I'll let Drool explain.
As STL alluded to, I'm a backer who spent a significant quantity of money on this game. I'm not going to say on this video what, but it's a lot. People are shocked generally when I do tell them. But for me, I have an incredibly demanding job that doesn't allow me a lot of free time to play the game. And I while I generally play games, I'm looking for progression in a game. I know that I'm not going to be able to put the time into Star Citizen as a player to progress through various to use Zame's strategy and progress through the various systems in the game, because there's really no winning in Star Citizen. You wind up either being successful or struggling or somewhere in the middle.
I think you
But-
win by having an experience.
Yes, that's very true, Zame. That's
I
very
agree with
true.
Yeah, and I think there's things that are on the horizon that are both positives and negatives for the I'm earning money and buying ships in game versus just buying them with real cash. One thing that's happened relatively recently, I want to say this is probably going back to 3.7 or so, but I can't actually remember when it came in, was CIG felt that they were a point where they could do persistence. And what that really meant it was prior to that point, every time we had a patch, you lost everything you bought in the game, you lost your money, and you basically went back to whatever you started with that you purchased with real money. They got to a point where they felt pretty good about the economy in the game, where they felt good about their servers retaining the data between patches, and it's not perfect, but they're at a point now to where like a new patch comes out, like we're at 3.13 dot whatever right now. I haven't lost the ships or the vehicles or the weapons or the components that I've purchased in the game for a very long time. We know there's going to be a wipe at some point. And what that means is we're still in alpha. So they reserve the right to take away everything. And that's going to mean if something comes in that is a major economic change, they may want to reset everybody to 0 to see how it impacts everybody long term. So if you are Zame, who has grinded for a long time, and I mean, even myself, the amount of patches that we're in, I haven't bought a ton of ships, but I mean, the amount of components I've done maxing out my ships, one time I lost my hammerhead, and one time, I 3 patches in a row, I lost my hammerhead stuff, and it was like 2.5 million credits every patch for like 3 patches in a row. So much so that I just stopped equipping that ship. But there is going to be a point. We know that once we hit beta, it's going to, we're going to reset. Once we go to live, we are going to reset. Those are on the horizon. So if you're going to be bothered by the fact that you have worked so hard to earn stuff in the game and then you go back to nothing, you need to know that's going to happen at some point. Yeah, because it's just kind of a frustration, but it's a thing. The more on the positive side, though, is right now you buy a ship in the game or you buy a vehicle or even a component. Well, if you replace it with something else, like let's say you have a Aurora, you move to a freelancer, and then all of a sudden you make enough with your freelancer to buy a Caterpillar. Well, you can't go back and sell your freelancer right now. You can't sell your Aurora from the beginning. There will be a point in the future where anything in your inventory you can sell back, not for the price that you paid for it, but you can sell it as like a used ship. And that helps you to kind of offset the cost of purchasing going forward. And then you almost have more of that like elite dangerous trade-in model. And that will help people as they progress too. So that's something you need to kind of factor in as far as like how long it takes to earn ships right now, because it may be less significant in the future. So for an example, even though certain things persist, certain things don't, whether if the patch is working or not and whether the persistence is holding up, my hammerhead is a perfect example. We haven't had the wipe on, your earnings for many, many patches now. But there are some ships that are prone to losing everything that is equipped to them. And sometimes even if you want to equip it, you lose those. My hammerhead, which I typically put, 24 Revenant Gatling guns, which cost about 1.5 million credits. And then, all of the other components cost about $1 million on their own. It ends up being about 2.5 million I lose every single time. So that's the financial side of that. You look at that, though, from the time spent perspective, it takes a long time to earn 2.5 million credits. So, if you start losing your components and you're losing your progress, you start feeling a little bit like you're losing some of the time you invested to make that happen as well. So you need to have the right mental state when it comes to viewing those types of interactions, because they're going to happen. But are you going to be okay if that happens? And if you're not, then are you the type of person that says, I'm going to purchase more ships because then I can overcome that? That example doesn't really mirror itself perfectly, because you actually, even if you buy a ship with real money, you're not going to lose that money, but you will lose the stuff you put on it sometimes. So it's just something that I think is worth considering. It's not only the money that you've earned, but it's the time you've spent to earn that cash.
So my perspective obviously is very different than Zame's, and somewhat different than STL's. I have spent a god awful quantities of money just buying ships, mostly concepts. Mostly, I had the disposable income, and I was willing to take a chance on Cloud Imperium Games and Chris Roberts. It's a risky move. People have bought into Kickstarters many times before, but because I think that the project will go live, it's just a matter of time, then that was a worthwhile investment. Because even if we do wipe, I start with a lot of ships, and I can do a lot of different things right away. Progression, as far as ships, isn't really a thing for me. My progress will be measured more by my success or failure at whatever I'm doing. And if I'm not interested in doing this particular activity, I can always switch to doing something else. I guess it's a sort of a luxury of the wealthy, whether it's in game or in real life. But even people that have bought a lot of ships like I have will lose their progress. I'm going to spend an exorbitant amount of in-game money on components to upgrade those ships. That will still be lost if we have, when we have more wipes or progress wipes. But it does give me a certain flexibility, though. Testing gameplay loops, whether it's mining or bounty hunting or just straight combat.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think if you have a lot of ships with a lot of diversity, which is kind of how I try to design my fleet, you have the options of picking what you want to do when you want to do it. Granted, mine's been selections that have allowed me to make content on various gameplay loops. So while I'm mostly a combat guy, I have ships that allow me to do cargo hauling and mining and search and rescue and exploration and down the line. So you can diversify your fleet by purchasing what you want, but you can do that in game as well. I think the other complication that you need to know is you need to be able to be agile with what's effective in the game at the moment. Cargo is always a profitable move. That being said, cargo means that you are buying you're buying goods, commodities. You're putting them onto your ship, you're delivering them. If you're attacked and you die, you've lost all of that investment. The bigger problem is, going back to the bugginess of Star Citizen right now, is 30Ks. 30Ks, for those that don't know it, is basically you losing connection to the server, and then the entire server goes down, and all of a sudden you now lose everything you had on your ship. They have plans to help you avoid that in the future, but trading has been blacklisted by a lot of people, myself included. I lost, I think, 1.8 million credits in a Laranite run, 1.4 million in a Caterpillar, I think it was, and I was too scared to haul probably for 3 patches now, which means that you have to make money doing other things. Mining is a really attractive option because you don't have to invest anything other than your time. You're going out finding goods and you're mining it, and then all of a sudden you're going to sell it. If you crash, you don't lose anything out of your wallet. You just lost the hour it took to do it. But the bigger point here is, if you're talking about only purchasing the bare minimum and earning into other things, the way the game evolves over time, even if you're not losing your stuff, means that the actual model for how you earn can change. So if we look at the last several patches, I'm not even going to assign numbers to them, but essentially it's trading was God. 30Ks become more prevalent. Trading is scary. Then all of a sudden people start mining. Mining Quantanium, a highly volatile and complicated mining process, becomes very profitable. So people start mining. Well, then all of a sudden we get the Gray Cat Rock, the buggy for planetary mining. It becomes god tier mining, and people are earning $250,000 for mining Head Knight. So everybody starts doing that. Well, then the devs are like, well, that's more than we want because you're going to earn more in this, 172,000 credit vehicle than you would in this 2 million credit spaceship. So then the profits drop on the rock a little bit. Then all of a sudden, bounty hunting becomes a more profitable option, which is always my preferred method. But if you look at that, we're essentially talking about a cargo ship. So if you buy in, you're like, what's profitable right now? Hauling cargo. Okay, so I'm going to buy a Caterpillar. Okay, well, I got a Caterpillar. Now what's profitable in the next patch? Well, now it's all of a sudden going to ground-based mining. Oh, well, the elevators aren't really working right now, so I can't really haul around a rock in my Caterpillar. So the ship that you purchased is not necessarily effective. So then you go to the next patch, and then all of a sudden you're talking about bounty hunting. And bounty hunting, well, you're not going to go hunting in a Caterpillar. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe you purchased a small carrier ship to take your rock around. Well, that's not really a great combat ship either. So there's benefit to having a diverse fleet that allows you to adjust as the game has its ebbs and flows. Eventually, they will figure it all out. But every time they add something new to the game, it changes the dynamics on the economy, and most people are going to evaluate the success that you have in the game based on how much you're earning. So if your earning potential is limited by having a limited fleet, you may say it's more valuable to me to purchase more ships. But again, there's a lot to do in the game. So when I do my should you buys, or when I do my picking the right ships, like those types of videos, there's a reason I always suggest ships like the Avengers, the Cutlasses, the Freelancers, to some degree the Constellations even. They are ships that do a good job in a lot of different roles, and it's because the game evolves. It also allows you to have less ships that you need to purchase to be successful. So, and again, I'll get off this horse in just a second, but yes, in my mind, the Saber is the best fighter in the game. It's hard for people to change my mind on that, but the Saber is not going to haul cargo. The Saber is not going to be, a good, rover carrier because it can't do it. It's not a good exploration ship. It lacks range and fuel and scanners. But if you get a ship that can do a little bit of everything, a multi-crew or a multi-role ship, you can buy less either in-game or with real money and be successful with the game changes that impact how you make money, which a lot of people equate to success.
To amplify on what STL just said, he's describing a generalist approach as opposed to a specialist approach. A specialist approach can make you more money, but it narrows your focus. A generalist ship, like the Constellation, the Freelancer, the Cutlass Black, the Avenger Titan, you can do a little bit of everything. You can haul some cargo. You can chase people down and shoot them with it. You can haul a rock around, at least with the Cutlass, Freelancer, and Constellations. It is a better value.
All that being said, it doesn't mean that you have to buy certain ships to have fun in the game. You can have fun with one ship in the game for a year. For example, I haven't flown anything but an Arrow for over a year plus now. So you really don't need to spend money or in-game other ways to have fun in the game. How hard is the game now, and how hard is it going to be in the future?
That's a hard question to answer.
I mean, right now it's gonna be easy making money, but in the future it's gonna be a lot harder making money, so people do have to consider that.
I mean, I think there's things that make the game harder and there's things that make the game easier. I think, one of the factors that is worth considering is that, as I mentioned earlier, we're in one solar system. So distances to travel at the moment are very limited. Things get a little bit more complex in the future when you start talking about like a cargo haul, for example. You take a contract to haul cargo from one place to another. Well, you now may have to take places to an area that is lawless. So there is no security there to keep you safe. You may need to take something to another system. Okay, well, if you have a small ship, you might be able to get there in one jump. If you have a big ship or a medium ship, you might have to take 2 or 3 jumps because there's not the appropriate size jump point to get to where you're going. Knowing that you have more complex situations that you need to be prepared for, you might be able to go to a high-risk area to try and do your contract, and you may get paid more, but you alone in a cargo hauler, you're not going to be safe doing that. You will have NPC pirates that will come. You will have players in the game. The griefers today are going to have a harder time in the safe systems than they've had to this point. But there are going to be havens where they're preying on people that are coming in to actually make a higher profit. So you need to have friends. That either goes back to playing with an organization, or that goes to hiring NPCs, which you'll be able to do later in the game. So you could set up an escort mission and they will fly for you or man your turrets or do whatever. Essentially what that means is you have to invest more time and more credits to be able to make money, at least at the higher value. You're not going to get rich in a short period of time in the game by running cargo within the same system. That's just not going to happen. Now, if you are willing to take on the risk, you have the high risk, high reward, but then you get into the ROI analysis, that's a different situation. So I think there is complexities to the game that simultaneously will make things more easy to do basic tasks, but harder to make more real money in the future. So when it comes down to the, buying ships with real money or buying in the game, it doesn't really matter, although you need to talk about what options you have available to yourself, and understanding how things are going to play out as far as the landscape in the future.
Yeah, right now we are testing the game, so it's gonna be a lot easier to make money now. And then when the game actually launches, there's gonna be a little grindy because they want you to play the game as long as possible.
Well, it goes back to progress. Your progression in Star Citizen will probably be measured less by your acquisition of ships than your acquisition of wealth and your influence with various factions. To answer the question of how the game's difficulty might evolve, as STL said earlier, the game continually is evolving. It's continually being rebalanced, and we're not even out of alpha yet. So we have a long way to go before. And it is possible that the developers will continue to balance as after it goes live. Therefore, trading may be profitable in certain systems. Bounty hunting will be far more profitable in those lawless havens that STL mentioned a moment ago. But the risk is going to be attendantly high.
Well, and I think you also need to remember too that gameplay loops were at tier 0, tier 1. Bounty hunting in the future isn't always going to be kill a ship and you get your money. Sometimes it's going to be this person's wanted alive. So you need to be able to disable the ship, get inside the ship, get the person, pull them out, get them on board your ship and exit. That means you need a distortion situation, you need an EMP, something to disable the ship, not destroy it. You need a boarding party to be able to get in there and get the person. You need the right equipment to restrain them. You need a holding cell to put them in. And then you need to be able to get back to where you're going safely and deliver that cargo, which is a person. That's just bounty hunting. All of these other gameplay loops are changing. Mining, which we consider to be the most complete loop at the moment, is also now seeing it getting a little bit expanded by the refineries. Well, you're also probably going to have a refinery ship at some point. You talk about the prospector and the mole. They both have the bags as far as collecting ore. You're supposed to eventually be able to eject those bags. Well, what that means now is that you can eject the bags. You can have a whole series ship collect them, potentially something like a freelancer collect them. They go off and sell it. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a profit sharing model because you're earning more money by being in an efficient operation, but you need to make sure that money goes around. So as far as the ability to do things, I think you have the ability to make more money, but you have to know how to do it in an effective manner. And then it's also sharing the profits across a group. So there's a lot of complexity that comes with the game evolving and all of these gameplay loops getting more complicated that make for a better experience and give you more options, but it doesn't make it as easy just to say, I'm doing option A and I'm earning what comes because of that.
So, to touch on what STL just said, the game is fairly simple right now. We have a few gameplay loops. You know, as he said, mining has become more complex with the addition of refining, but this is very much tier 0. When the game goes live, I think there will still be a place for lone wolf players if that's what you're into doing, and I believe it will be possible for a lone wolf player to build up quite a fortune if he or she is good at their craft. That said, we're a cooperative species, and cooperating within a smoothly running complex operation is going to probably be many times more profitable than anything you can do solo.
In the end, no matter what package we choose or what packs we choose or even what concept ships we choose, it is funding the game. So, like I said before, you can just buy one starter package and play the game. You don't have to spend your money on concept ships. But if you like an idea and if you want to support CIG, go for it. If not, just wait and see. There's going to be reviews coming soon. There's going to be a should you buy videos. Watch those. Take your decision. After all, it is your money and you decide how you want to spend it and what you want to come out of with it.
I will also say this. Even if you are somebody who has spent a lot of money in the game, if you spent more than $1,000 in the game, you get access to ships to purchase typically on a Thursday when the normal sale comes out on a Friday. That is CIG trying to take advantage of the hype and the dollar amount spent of the people that do it frequently. What you normally get is a blurb of what this ship is supposed to be, and you may have a picture of it. Don't buy then. There's not any value to buying then. Wait until the following day. The sale comes out. I say this all the time when I do my should you buy videos. Get the stats on the vehicle before you make a decision on purchasing. Because there's a lot of times where you read the description of a vehicle and you say, this thing looks like it's going to be awesome. But it doesn't always pan out that way. In the size of components, while they can change from concept to release, and that happens a lot, it's hard to make a snap judgment decision without applying emotion based on how it's sold and how it looks. See the numbers, make a good decision. You don't need to buy on Thursday. You can wait until Friday.
I would say when it comes to buying decisions, if you want to look at the best value path, buy the starter package, the cheapest starter package you can, join an organization, and borrow other people's ships. We have plenty of backers in most of the mid-sized and larger active organizations that are happy to lend you ships if you're a new backer, so you can try them out.
So, what are your final thoughts? Let's start with STLYoungblood.
I think it's simple, even though this is a very complex topic. Is at the end of the day, it's a video game. Like, don't get out over your skis. Don't spend more than you're comfortable, spending. Don't be the guy that goes on to, Star Citizen refund saying you want to, demand a refund and you're going to bitch about it in a public space. Like, at the end of the day, just do this. Get in during a free flight, see if the game whets your appetite. If it does, buy something cheap, play it for a little while, and see if it holds your attention. If it does, great. Spend money to your comfort level and to how it feels to you. Don't buy into peer pressure. Don't buy into the white knights that are on, the Reddit and on, Spectrum on RSI site. There are plenty of people that will oversell you the game. It's also easy to fall into the trap and feel like this game is groundbreaking and it's everything you want and you're going to back the project and do everything. That's all well and good. if you're not in a position where you're comfortable spending the money, you can do it on a very cheap level and have a great experience in the game. Be smart, know your situation, and make good decisions.
Drew?
I would amplify what STL's just said by saying that this is a leisure time activity. On top of the computer you need to run it, which requires a fairly high-end machine. You're going to need a good internet connection, and you're going to need... So, I mean, those are significant costs by themselves. It's not necessary to layer on top of that thousands or tens of thousands of dollars chasing the hype. Buy a basic starter pack and get in game and try it out.
In the end of the day, this CIG is trying to make a game, and we can support it in multiple ways. Just spend $35 or $45, buy a starter package, have fun with it. That's about it. If you want to support the game without spending money, just play the game. See what you like, see what you don't like, give your feedback. And that's how we make a better game.